By early in 2003, I had been an active member of an internet community for several years. The community was a NASCAR racing-related group consisting of members from all over the United States. There were even a few members who popped in from overseas. The community members would spend hours chatting with each other in the chat room of the website. Our conversations were not limited to racing. We discussed a wide variety of topics, especially during the off-season, or any time there was not a current race to discuss. One evening, Dawn, a female member of our community, asked if I would like to communicate with her privately on IM, Instant Messenger. IM is separate from the community and its chat room. Unlike a chat room which can be accessed by any member of a group, IM is a private means of communication via computer. IM conversations can be accessed only if both parties agree to participate. I'm always happy to chat with a young lady, so I quickly agreed. Little did I know, what I thought would be a light-hearted conversation would soon lead to so much more. Dawn and I were soon chatting on IM almost every night. Though they started out light-hearted, in very short order, our conversations had taken a turn toward the excited. Our near-nightly conversations became more and more emotions as time went by. I should probably mention here that Dawn and I are both married and have children. Early on I made Dawn aware that I was approximately 20 years older than she. She was in her mid-30s, and I was my late 50s. She quickly soothed my concerns caused by our age difference. She said she liked older men. So, I dove right in, so to speak. I guess the old saying is true, there's no fool like an old fool. Over the next several weeks, Dawn and I developed a very close relationship, at least over the net. We discussed our personal lives and the problems we were each having at home. We even discussed the possibility of meeting someday. The expressed purpose of such a meeting would be to screw each other senseless, with no strings attached. One day, several months after Dawn and I began our cyber relationship, my wife told me she would be going out of town for several days. When I told Dawn of my upcoming lonely weekend, she quickly suggested we get together somewhere. She suggested we could meet in a major city that is about halfway between our respective homes. I had reservations. A short time later, we had made our arrangements. We would meet at a mutually known spot in a major city in an adjoining state. We laid out plans for a nice dinner and a visit to a club for drinks and dancing. Any further activities would be left to our desires at the time. As the day of our date approached, I was getting more and more apprehensive. As I drove down the freeway on the way to our rendezvous, I began having feelings of nervous anticipation. I hadn't felt like that since I was a teenager. We had arranged to meet at a restaurant we both knew. I was so nervous, I could barely keep from shaking as I turned into the restaurant's parking lot. At least I didn't have to wait long. Dawn pulled into the lot just a few minutes behind me. When I first laid eyes on Dawn, many of my fears melted away. Though we had exchanged pictures, and I knew she was a nice-looking girl, seeing her in the flesh made my heart jump. Dawn was about 5'7" tall with just enough body fat to make her soft and very nicely curved. As she bounded out of her car, she was smiling broadly. Her blonde hair created a golden frame for her round face. Her light blue eyes seemed to twinkle, and her full lips just begged to be kissed. As she approached, I had her stop and slowly turn. When I held out my hands to her, Dawn came forward and we embraced. Without a word, she put her arms around my neck, firmly hugged me, and softly kissed my lips. Wow, what a way to meet a girl for the first time. This date did indeed appear to be headed for a night to remember. Dinner was good, but uneventful. Well, I can't quite say that. Dawn and I were seated in a dimly lighted corner of the restaurant, and we had a difficult time keeping our hands off each other. In fact, we failed miserably. We had finished dinner, and ordered a second glass of wine, when Dawn excused herself to use the restroom. Before leaving the table she laid a little blue pill next to my plate. She returned quickly and smiled when she saw the pill was gone. After dinner we drove to a nearby club. There, we drank and danced until about midnight. As we danced, we not so discreetly fondled each other. By the time we left the club, we were blatantly feeling each other up on the dance floor. We headed for a nice hotel nearby. We had noticed it near the restaurant before dinner. We checked in, and I carried our 2 small overnight bags to our room. As soon as we got inside the room, Dawn spun me around to face her, and firmly kissed me. Can you guess what happens next? In the morning, we ordered breakfast and talked about our night. I then walked Dawn to her car. With a warm kiss and a promise to meet again soon, we parted. I look forward to our next little road trip. More new ways of loving await Dawn.